he came back. He's like, I watched like 5 episodes. I'm like, yeah. He's like, let's be a goldfish. I'm like, yeah, goldfish. And so there's a scene in that show where he's coaching soccer. It's Jason Sudeikis. And one of his defensive players gets burned on the field and like falls down. And the other player that burned him comes by. He's like, haha, like I owned you. And he's like, hey, Sam, come here. Like his name was Sam, actually. To come up and get off the field and come and talk to me. And he comes over and he's like, hey, man, do you know what the happiest animal in this world is? And he goes, no. He's like, it's a goldfish. He's like, what? He's like, it's because a goldfish has a 10-second memory. Be a goldfish. You know, and he's like, and then Jason's like, you get it. You get it. You know, so it's like, just forget about it. Like 10 seconds later, just be a goldfish. You have a bad experience. You have a bad door. You have an angry person. You know, be a goldfish. Forget about it. Move on. Be happy. Don't let that drag on to your next door.
So let's talk about culture, and it's been a huge topic of the day, so I figured let's continue it on with this podcast.
Yeah.
You know, it was cool to watch Chris talk about a person you just let go, and it's not something we talk about firing a lot on this podcast. So kind of what happened, tell us a story about this rep that you were just like, F him, and why, and what was your reasoning behind that, and when do you need to know when to let somebody go or not, and talk to us about that.
Yeah, so this kind of a scenario, we had somebody who was, we could see where they were on we use Sales Rabbit for monitoring, like where our reps are at, and what homes are not, where the pins are dropping. Anyway, so this guy, we could see, like, he was geomapped sitting in his car, and he wasn't moving, but he was dropping pins on houses, and he'd like move his car.
False data.
It was just creating a ton of false data for us, specifically speaking. And so we had a general meeting with everybody, talked to everybody about it, said, hey guys, this is something that we're seeing, and we appreciate it if you stop, because we're trying to create clean data and be able to improve the way that we analyze our business and the decisions that we make, so it can be made based off of data, not just off of gut or instinct. And so
sure enough,
next day the guy's doing it again, which is like, we just had a conversation about this. Like, yeah, it's disrespectful, but it's just kind of, stupid, for lack of a better expression. And we're just like, hey, what are you doing this for, man? I said, usually I let people go on the spot for this. I said, I'm going to give you a second chance, clean it up. Like, I know you have a lot of potential. I see the person that you could be. Yep. So why don't we just refocus and make it happen? And like 2 days later, sure enough, he's like doing the same crap again. So I was like, F this guy, man. Let's just bring him in and just get rid of him. Because unfortunately, like, we want people to succeed and we want people to have the opportunity to change. Like, not everybody's perfect. We all make mistakes. And so I think as a leader, you have to have those moments where it's like you're going to give a person that chance to try to succeed even when they've made a mistake, and everyone deserves a second opportunity, sometimes a third. And in this guy's case, it's going to bring culture down. He's going to set a bad example for other people. Our culture is not going to progress, and our team's not going to grow the way we want it to if we have cancers or bad eggs on our team.
100%.
And what's funny is when we did bring him in, it wasn't even like a conversation that he tried to fight for his job at all. He knew exactly what he did, and it was just easy. Like, okay, cool. Like, he knew exactly what he did. There was no combating it.
Yeah, people, and what's funny is people want to test you and see how far they can stretch and milk. And
oh, they do, for sure.
It's kind of sad. Like, there was another scenario you were talking about, how you let go of the kid for not buying into attitude-wise, like his attitude. Tell us about that one.
That was actually just the new hire. Got here late for our group meeting. We usually start new hires off with a meeting with everybody so they can get to know everybody, have that team culture vibe, and get excited about working with us and with the whole team. Then he just mouthed off after we did a meditation session, try to get everybody on the same page emotionally, mentally, and he just mouthed off, and I'm just like, dude, like, please take this seriously. He mouthed off again. I said, dude, there's the door. Like, it's hard to have to make decisions like that because you don't want to bring anybody down or bring the whole culture down, but sometimes you just
better for
have
the long
to
run.
get rid of those people because they're going to bog down the rest of the culture. And we've had a couple experiences like that where we have to get rid of people, even people that are producing, like, but like there's just everything from backbiting to gossip, people talking behind each other's backs, and lack of integrity. And you call people out on it, ask people to change, and they don't. It's just like, unfortunately, you have to make hard decisions like that for your organization to succeed. But we have, and I think you can attest to, like, our culture today.
Solid. I was impressed.
Yeah, a lot of buy-in.
There are some times where I go to offices and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. What are you doing?
I was like, good, this is an uphill battle. But I'm like, it's cool because you've protected and you've set a standard of type of individual and the expectation to where they have respect for you.
Right.
They see you guys as the leaders. They, you know what I mean? And I could sense that, and it was just really cool. Like, even that girl calling you today showed that she trusted to call you. So got to give us some context to that, because that to me was a sign of we're doing something right. Yeah.
Just had a rep going through one of those days, you know, kind of gotten beaten down. She'd had a couple days, you know, back to back of in her area that she's going and knocking, kind of just having some quote unquote mean customers, and it wasn't anything too crazy, but it just kind of triggered an emotional response with her, and kind of started to cry, and giving me a call, and, you know, kind of just let her vent and tell me what was going on. And, you know, sometimes you got to play like that team psychiatrist and, you know, help people see that there's another day, there's another chance, there's another door, and really leave it on the door that you left it, like that they should not be having a tie to your emotions, because they're not paying your bills. They're not the one that's putting food on the table for your kids. Like, why is it that their words would have such a dramatic impact on your emotions and on your heart? And so moving forward, it's just like, you know, sometimes you got to go take a minute or two and go listen to that favorite song and just, you know, put it in the back burner and just go get that next door. But I think that you have to really be willing to be there for your people and be willing to take those phone calls, especially in that leadership position, to where you can say, you know what, like, let's just keep moving. Let's move forward, and let's get to that next door, because that next door might be that gold mine. That next door might be that 100%. Like, everyone goes digging for gold and get to that 90%, and they turn around, they're like, man, I didn't find any today. And it's like, that last 10% could have been 3 appointments, 3 sales. And so, you know, just really pushing them to be to that next limit, and, you know, helping them out emotionally, because at the end of the day, it's a hard job. And she's, you know, 5 weeks into this and never done it before. And so just coaching them and letting them know it's going to be okay. Like, you're going to live. You're here to see another door. You're here to see another day. So,
yeah. And I love your theory of the happiest animal. Tell us about that.
Just a little shout out to the show Ted Lasso. If you haven't, I think it's a fantastic show. But I told Chris, like, right when I first came here, I was like, you got to go watch it. He's like, oh, I've heard about it. It's a show on Apple TV, but it's just so uplifting, good coaching, like things like little one-liners you could take in and apply every day. And he came back, he's like, I watched like 5 episodes. I'm like, yeah. He's like, let's be a goldfish. I'm like, yeah, goldfish. And so there's a scene in that show where he's coaching soccer. It's Jason Sudeikis. And one of his defensive players gets burned on the field and like falls down. And the other player that burned him comes by. He's like, haha, like, I owned you. And he's like, hey, Sam, come here. Like, his name was Sam, actually, to come up and get off the field and come and talk to me. And he comes over and he's like, hey, man, do you know what the happiest animal in this world is? And he goes, no. He's like, it's a goldfish. He's like, what? He's like, it's because a goldfish has a 10-second memory. Be a goldfish, you know? And he's like, and then Jason's like, you get it. You get it. You know, so it's like, just forget about it. Like 10 seconds later, just be a goldfish. You have a bad experience. You have a bad door. You have an angry person. You know, be a goldfish. Forget about it. Move on. Be happy. Don't let that drag on to your next door.
And I love that. I call it selective amnesia, the Men in Black pen thing.
Yeah.
But like, I love the goldfish kind of motto. And to take that a step farther, you gave everybody what? And she busted it out. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we ordered some little gold keychains that say "Be a Goldfish" on it. It has a little goldfish that they can take around with them, just as that daily reminder, a little bit of fun. But yeah, they're all about it. We want to put a sign up on the wall there that says "Believe" and have everyone slap it on their way out so that they know, like, you know, believe, we got this.
Love that. So talk to us a little bit about kind of your culture systems. Like, you talked about developing, and you did that at Vivint. You helped develop in the back end some of the onboarding and the training and the recruiting systems, and you have a lot of good ideas and implemented at the mass level these things, and now you're implementing it on a smaller business scale, which has been a huge asset to Chris, obviously. Talk to us about some best practices that companies need to implement in order to see high rep retention, high rep success early on, things like that.
Yeah, I think that, first of all, giving them a path of vision for long-term growth. First thing, that they need to know that they can stay here for the next 5 to 10 years and grow something substantial, and see that vision first off. And I think that the second thing that kind of ties into that is, giving them that environment to where they don't have to reinvent that. But I think that the biggest thing is like giving that belief into these people that, you know what, you don't need to come here with past experience, that coming in and just applying yourself to these systems, to these processes, you know, making sure that you have like the incentives, You know, what are you doing for your people? If you care for your people, then your people will go to battle for you. And they don't know how much you care until you go out into the trenches with them. You go out and help them succeed. And I feel like it's a really, really important thing for building culture, to really care about the newest person coming into the organization. Every time I've looked at different companies, whether that be network marketing or look at door to door, I always look at the comp plan and I say, is there something that's healthy for the newest person? Because it makes it easier to recruit, makes it easier to retain, and it makes it easier for them to have immediate success. And I've always like built teams based on an x-axis of excitement versus fear. And if you can have them have some success immediately, see a win immediately, then you keep that excitement level high. But the longer that they go by, it passes across and the fear creeps up to be higher than their actual excitement. And then that's where no action happens. That's where sitting in the car and not hitting the doors happen. And so really creating a culture of, you know what, you can come in and win immediately. We see success in the first month. We see success in the first week. And having people catch that vision immediately. We just had a lady come on, probably about 6 weeks, Victoria. And in her first week got 2 sales. And she's like, man, I've never made this much in a week. And then she was able to go and quit her second job. And she was working, 8 p.m. to 5 in the morning and then come in working noon to 5 here. And it's just like a crazy schedule. And to have her be able to leave her job within 2 weeks and say, you know what, I can just do this now. It's like, that's rewarding. You know that you're on the right path and you know that you're putting together something where people can come in. And now we've had multiple people be able to quit their previous job or be able to just work one job here instead of having those 2 jobs and have no personal life outside of work. So it's really rewarding.
Love that.